Sally sells seashores by the seashore. Good afternoon. I'm reading for the part of Brainstorm, Cannabis Community Project. Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you live from the Dink Studios at 3835 Elm Street in Denver, Colorado, it's the Cannabis Community Project. And here's your host, Brainstorm.
Looking for some cannabis products this year? 2017 is going to be the boom year for products. Find all the best ones on our website at the Cannabis Community Store, www.cannabiscommunitystore. We have all the products from Cushly to Herb Box, Canna Relief, and everything else cannabis related. Have you ever seen a business or a product and thought, what a sack of that is? I could do a better job. Well, let us help you get there. Make 2017 your year of cannapreneurism. Contact me directly. Brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Cannapreneurs, thank you for joining me this week. I just want to quickly update you on a couple things going on in the Cannabis Community Project world as we are expanding. Hey, let me ask you a question. Are you a listener who listens through an app, or are you going to the website and using the media player? As I roll into year 4 on this, I need to get more and more analytics in my demographics, and I need to know more about where, how, and who you are listening. So, if you can do me a favor, besides the obvious of rating me on iTunes or leaving reviews and all that kind of stuff, thumbs up, and let me know where you're listening from. And if you don't listen from the website, or if you haven't been to the website in a while, please check it out, because the website is the hub of the Cannabis Community Project. That is where we have our CCP store, the Cannabis Community Store. It's also where you can access the other podcasts, Beyond Sanity and the Cannabis Factor, as well as membership and sponsorship, our blog that we have with weekly updates from various bloggers, and our affiliate link. An affiliate link would be 2 right now. One is 424 Play, which I told you about months ago, our cannabis-friendly, sexy sponsor at events, and a new affiliate that I'm proud to be part of in the making, in the creation, that I want to tell you about, MED Badge Help, medbadgehelp.com. This is a business that, for right now, is going to be very Colorado-centric, because each state has their own licensing, and this is specifically for MED, which stands for the Marijuana Enforcement Division underneath the Department of Revenue here in Colorado. And myself and a friend of mine, Priscilla, have decided that there is a need in the market for individuals to have professional help filling out their badge applications, because there's a couple things that go on in the badge licensing process that you may not know about. For one, all the documents have to be notarized, which means you have to go to a UPS store or some other place where there's a notary, track that place down, spend whatever time it is, 15, 20, 30 minutes going there, getting notarized, spending your $5-6 on top of the time of the individual actually doing the notary, which could be another 15 minutes, and you're trusting that he knows what he's doing. So there's one aspect there, and then there's another aspect. If you've ever had any type of arrest or criminal record or anything, you may not be disqualified from having a badge, depends on what it is, but you have to show original court documents. With small disclosure, this is what happened to me when I went to go get my badge last month. I had to bring in some prior things that were not serious, but just some things that were on my record. One on my driving record and one from a county court, and I had to pull my own records. Now, If I said, go get original court records on something, what would you do? Would you know where to do it, how to get it, where to access it? You'd Google it, right? You'd go online, you'd find one of those background check companies. They would try to get you a membership or charge you a really expensive price for a background check from a database. Well, thankfully and coincidentally, I have already been in the business for a number of years of background check screening and employment screening through another company of mine that I have, checkmypublicrecord.com, where we do just that. We pull driving records, criminal records, social security numbers, employment verifications, bank account verifications, tax forms, everything else you can think of, homeland security checks, so much. I've already been in this business, so it was a natural marriage, serendipity, is that the right word? Where when this friend of mine said, this industry needs a notary that understands the application process and that can go on site to your location, wherever you are, help you fill out the application, notarize it on the spot, bring you those additional supporting documents if needed, and have inside intimate knowledge of the process. So you're not just a UPS store guy doing a notary. You're actually knowledgeable about the topic. Why? Well, because all of us have been badged ourselves, and we reach out to the individuals that work at these departments. We ask them questions. We form relationships. We study the regulation on the books and the laws that have been written. We understand this process, and we do it by repetition. Where will it grow? Who knows? But there are so many people coming to Colorado and so many people coming for work, which means you need an MED badge if you want to work in a dispensary or some other MIPS licensed facility. There's two types. There's a support badge and a key badge. You know which one's right for you, how much they cost, what's it worth. Well, that's is what this business is all about. So we're on Facebook. We now have the website up. Check it out, medbadgehelp.com. That is medbadgehelp.com. Find us on Facebook. Like the page as we're growing. Check out the website, even if you're not in Colorado, even if you already have your badge, because this is something that's going to be part of the bigger picture. So important because part of this overall movement of having the industry become normalized, getting more people into it, also comes with getting more people badged and ready to be employed in it. So you want to do your own application. So medbadgehelp.com is out there to help individuals who find being employed in this industry as a serious option. They don't want to waste their time. They don't want to make mistakes. They want to get the information and the documents they need. medbadgehelp.com. New affiliate, new venture I'm personally part of, full disclosure. Another business is moving along under the CCP name, Cannabis Community Project. God, I love this stuff. All right, Cannapreneurs, let's grind and burn. Let's get into this week's show. I had so much fun with Robyn. Robyn from LeafLink. I met her at the career fair a couple weeks ago. Ooh, she is a hoot. She is a fun lady to talk to. So listen to our conversation. So we talk about a little bit of everything under the sun, but all business, cannabis related. And we also have some more announcements and other news coming up very soon. So stay tuned every week right here. And remember to check out the new websites. Here we go, Cannapreneurs. Grind and burn.
Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth. Find
tell people I sometimes prefer to just do phone interviews. People tend to be more relaxed and more in their environment, and they're not thinking about the fact that we're recording. Usually when they're on your phone, they think about it for the first 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and then 5 minutes into the conversation, they forgot that we're recording. They're just talking to you. Whereas when people come into the studio, they sometimes tend to be a little more aware that, oh yeah, we're recording.
It's real.
This will be listened to by people.
Yes.
At some point.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I didn't actually speak to you at the event the other night. It was one of your associates, but he gave me your card.
Okay.
So if you don't recognize me, that's why.
Okay.
Because I didn't actually speak to you. I forget the gentleman I was speaking to. Joel. Was it Joel? Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, kind of blonde head, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was, I don't make title calls, but is he hip? I don't know.
He's hip.
Every time I hear that word, it reminds me of the movie Robert De Niro, Taxi Driver.
Of course.
Where Robert Harvey Keitel,
Yeah.
Are you hip? That's funny. You don't look hip. Okay, so...
Hi, I'm Robyn Nevin. I'm the Business Development Manager here in Denver, Colorado for LeafLink. And LeafLink is an online wholesale marketplace specifically designed for the cannabis industry.
LeafLink, when I hear this, when I was speaking to Joel, I had met him at the career fair down at City Hall, which was who was that sponsored by?
Vangst.
Yes,
an awesome organization that recruits people for employment within the cannabis industry.
Yes, and there was a handful of companies, I forget how many, 20, 30 or so, that were down there hiring from everything from bud tenders to a lot of software, obviously a lot of businesses based on technology, and then customer service and everything in between. So I ran across your company, and when I first heard it, I immediately started thinking of all the other companies that I could compare it to, right? So I started thinking of like the Weed Maps, and started thinking of the LeafLink, and started thinking of, all the other ones we've come across. And I've interviewed a few people over the course of the last few years who've had various technology-based businesses about locating products, locating dispensaries, connecting people in all different angles. Let's slowly wade through these waters so we can separate what you're doing from what people might jump to an assumption about what's out there now or what people are doing.
The initial comparison would be that our company is a B2B platform, whereas the others are B2C, meaning that a consumer or a shopper would want to go to Weed Maps or LeafLink to find a dispensary. And what LeafLink does is we actually have gone out and procured over 500 dispensary purchasing managers to register for an account on our platform, and they can go on into their account and shop multiple brands all in one cart. So we have the dispensary purchasing manager shopping, and then we also have gone out and onboarded close to 60 different Colorado vendors or brands like Dixie, Wana, Keef Cola, Incredibles, Cannapunch, Foria, you name it. They're on the platform. It makes it really convenient for those purchasing managers to just browse and discover new products, request samples, and just click and place orders, and then it gets submitted directly to the vendor, then fulfills the order and ships it out.
So up until this point, over the last 4 or 5 some years, there's been a progression and change in the industry of how the development of dispensaries to centers, how they acquire their product, how they meet other people, how they associate, all growing from this kind of caregiver into this dispensary, more organized type program. And most of the market has been focused directly on consumers, getting people into a dispensary. And then there's growers who are focused on getting their product to a dispensary. You're placing yourself kind of in the middle and just being a portal for various products to come and gather in one place?
Exactly. So if you can imagine shopping on Amazon, for example, you would go on, and if you're browsing for t-shirts, you would see, probably thousands of different t-shirts, all of which are from different vendors. The platform sort of replicates that model with the e-commerce experience. So the dispensary is getting inundated with different MIPs and vendors that are coming into the marketplace and wanting to get their products in front of them and getting great merchandise placement and ultimately getting their bud tenders to push their product through education and sampling and things like that. So what we've done is we've streamlined that process so that the vendors don't necessarily have to print out pages of menus or email their menu week to week. The shopper, the dispensary purchasing manager, can just log right in and check out new products and sample and request samples, and that will get shot directly to the vendor, and then the sales reps will fulfill the sample requests and the orders and fulfill it and ship it.
See, I look at this as a efficiency of sales process.
Absolutely.
Because the one thing I've been hearing from my conversations with people in the industry is the over inundation of salespeople just randomly walking into facilities, and facilities don't have an infrastructure in place to handle that, which means somebody has to take time out of their day to be interrupted by this person. Whereas, an organization that has kind of a procurement department has places for salespeople to engage with organizations and work through that process. So what I see this as is really just making more efficient the sales process, stopping 20, 30 people a day from wandering into your facility and asking you if they can show you their briefcase of products, and doing all the things that need to get done, but just in a very inefficient, time-consuming, and probably annoying type way, I think, all around. Interesting fact, since you said Amazon and following their business model, every time I hear Amazon, I can't help but remember studying a case study about Amazon where their original business model was projected to be 16 years in the red before they knew they were ever going to come close to making a profit.
Yeah, they were just selling books.
Well, not only just selling books, it was intentionally planned at such a long tail. They knew it was going to be at least 16 years before they even come close to making a profit.
Wow.
And it was that type of long-term forethought that I think truly reflects Jeff Bezos and his overall empire today of just how he thinks as an individual, but also this ability of companies to look at the long run and not simply saying, if I can't get funded in 6 months, I guess we better move on to another project. Or if I can't get my funding, to stage 3 in 18 months. Everybody nowadays is taking such a short look at the run. Let me just ask you to talk about the company history and what the development is, because new industry, when I say new, relatively new.
Absolutely.
Give us a little background in, just reflecting on that idea of, Amazon. They knew it was going to be a long, long run of their model. How do you guys look at it? How long have you been in the industry, and what's your approach?
LeafLink has been in the industry for a year, and prior to that, the software was being built. And like any software, it's constantly evolving, and it wouldn't make sense if it wasn't. So the engineering team and the founders are located in our New York offices, and they spend countless hours getting feedback from clients and innovating our platform to make the user experience optimal. We definitely have a long-term goal. We are on the pulse of each state that is becoming legal. We launched in Colorado primarily because this is the state that most other states look to for guidance and kind of how is Colorado making it work. And so the founders decided to launch in Colorado February of last year. It's just been an incredible ride ever since. So it was initially kind of the chicken and the egg model, where we came out with this product and we needed retailers to sign up so they could shop on it, but we also needed them to have something to shop for. So we were also going out, knocking on doors, cold calling, leveraging our contacts, networking, and meeting with these amazing vendors and these big brands like Dixie and Incredibles, for example. They already had some processes in place, absolutely. Just for, the nature of any company, they need to have some standard operating procedures. But when LeafLink entered the market, there was great reception because they could see that we weren't going to be doing something that was going to disrupt anything. It was really more of enhancing the model and really sort of adding on to whatever sales strategy they already had. So I oftentimes tell vendors, they say, do I need my salespeople if I'm on LeafLink? And I say, of course you need your salespeople, because this is simply a way to manage the orders that come in. There's a CRM component within the software that's fantastic, and it houses all of the order history and activity that a sales rep puts in about that customer. And there's great reporting. And so there's a multitude of features that we provide that really help the brand keep organized.
I think a lot of times people confuse what a salesperson's role is versus what technology's role is. It's like saying, well, if I put a vending machine that sold cigarettes, that's long gone, but that sold weed from a vending machine, do I still need people? Well, to a point, you will always need people, unless you're literally just putting vending machines in, just various locations like Netflix boxes. But as long as you have a facility that people come into, they have to interact with somebody. Mm-hmm. So whether you call them customer service or you call them salespeople or you call them bud tenders, there are people who are representing your company that have to interact with the customers, and hopefully that interaction is going to lead to some type of sale, an exchange of money. So they are salespeople, and they're the ones who are going to determine how that customer feels and interacts about you. So I think there's sometimes a confusion of what technology's role is and what the human element is. I mean, I think businesses that thrive on the human element and is supported with the technology behind it. I don't
Absolutely.
know. What's your take, since you are a technology business, yes? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, let me rephrase that question. Are you a technology business?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we are a software as a service, a SaaS company, if you will. So at the end of the day, a salesperson will never be replaced. It's kind of a loaded question because these brands, they have a job to do to get that name recognition. So when a new patient or user of cannabis comes into a dispensary, they're overwhelmed. They don't know where to go or what to look at and what to try. And they really do rely on those bud tenders. And that's really where the brand ambassadors or salespeople from these brands come in and educate those shoppers that are going to be using those products. And also, like with the vending machine, Coca-Cola and Pepsi and Sprite, they still have sales reps out there because they're still competing in this market. They have commercials and they have online advertising. And even though the entire world knows about Coca-Cola and Pepsi, there's always going to need to be that human element.
Right.
That people are going to want to, contact somebody if they have questions or need support. And we have a great support team of client success managers that partner with our brands to get all of their products and descriptions and pricing and managing their inventory onto the platform. And then it doesn't stop there. We do an e-newsletter campaign and we announce that brand is on LeafLink. So that's a targeted list of opted-in emails that we send this announcement to, which is huge. So that Monday or Tuesday that their brand is launched on LeafLink, they get this piece of marketing in front of all of these purchasing managers that are already registered with LeafLink, and they're excited to see new brands and try them out because we're building a community of brands within Colorado that are their friends, their colleagues, their competitors, and we're all kind of in this little industry together, just trying to take care of our families and put out a good product and take care of the ones we love and hopefully, heal some people and get them off of, prescription drugs or any other types of, methods that people are using to ease their pain and suffering. So it's ultimately what I think people started in the industry for. And
Absolutely.
This is just an ancillary product that we're able to bring to the market and help them out and get them to be able to do that.
Yeah, we have almost two industries simultaneously happening. One is this medical marijuana patient industry, and this other is this recreational, just cannabis use industry. Mm-hmm. They've both kind of been around forever. One got legitimized about 16 some years ago. The other one just a few years ago, but has been around forever. They're supposed to be kind of in the same room, but yet we're supposed to divide them and look at them as separate, but it's kind of just doing the same thing. It's very confusing, especially people outside of the industry. And I think that's what gives a lot of resistance to kind of working through society on this, is just the confusion of, well, is this medical or are people just having fun or what's going on here? But sometimes that's why it's best just to deal with a product, right? Like software, where you just have a product and you say, this is what we do. It's a functional use. We don't have to get involved in the political aspect of, do you support cannabis? Here's a piece of software. Do you want to use it for your business or not? It's
exactly.
Sometimes it's a little more, get out of the argument, get out of the.
Yeah, that's why our platform, we don't have a Yelp type design where people can rate products. This is really just a straightforward marketplace for people to sample and shop and maintain those great relationships with those vendors and create new ones with new brands that they haven't tried before. And we've seen some of the, the smaller vendors in the area really excel with using LeafLink because they bottom line is, me and my counterpart, we have spent the last year being one of those annoying salespeople, going into hundreds of Colorado dispensaries, unannounced, uninvited, no soliciting. And we walk right in with our little one-sheet flyer and a business card and a smile and say, hey, we're with LeafLink. Have you heard of us? And they say, no, I have no idea who you are, what you're doing, and why are you in here? I have patience. And it has to be really quick and really succinct. And you come in and say, I'm here to make your job easier. You have 20 brands on the shelves right now, and you have to call, text, or email each of those individually. And with LeafLink, they're all on our platform, and you can click and shop and browse 24/7 at the convenience of a click anytime you want and place your orders. And then they think, really? What? Wow, this is amazing. And so the feedback has been incredible. We've definitely had some resistance from a very, very small amount of people that are just not into technology. And there's a couple of people that have said, nope, I'm not going to use the internet for anything. And you just smile and say, that's okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that's totally fine. But the majority of people look at this as a time saver. And again, they can have all of their order history right there. They can email it to their accountant, their bookkeeper, whoever. And it makes it that much nicer. And we just actually launched into Washington State, and we've got an amazing sales rep out there. She's doing a great job. And we've already onboarded over 200 retailers in Washington. And that's super exciting. And we are launching in Oregon and Nevada right now. I'm going into Oregon in a couple of weeks for a conference, and I'm making calls right now, calling edible companies and trying to create relationships out of thin air and just, hi, I'm Robyn,
Help me understand how you go about the initial stages of reaching out to companies in a cold call sense. You said a year ago when you started, you were just wandering the streets, walking into dispensaries. Is that still how you do it? Has it evolved? Is there a new process in place?
I've been in sales for about 20 years. So I have gone through many different trainings for different sales tactics, techniques, and the best way I can describe it is a couple of ways. One, I do pre-call planning. It sounds kind of dorky, but I will pull up in front of a dispensary like Dank. And before I go in, I might Google Dank, open up their website. Hopefully they have one. And I can browse real quick and kind of see what I should expect on their shelves. Maybe they have a contact name or they've got a picture of some bud tender. So I just kind of feel like a little familiar with the place. I'll grab my stuff, walk in, and then, and you really have to just be cognizant of the environment that you're in. If it's busy, if it's slow, you have to be really aware of everything that's going on around you all at once and be cognizant of that, because you really are going in and interrupting somebody's day. And you want to leave that moment with having given your pitch, given your flyer, your business card, whatever, and then obviously having left a good feeling in that person about you.
Who are you trying to get a hold of when you walk in?
The purchasing manager.
Okay.
And the purchasing manager, I like to call them ghost cats, because most of the time, purchasing managers are not in the front of the store. They're not the ones that are in the dispensary day to day. They are sometimes somebody that works outside of the dispensary, and they're only, they work from home, or they come into the shop like once or twice a week. So I have gone after some dispensaries for months at a time, really trying to track down the right person, because it's lovely to meet the bud tenders and they're awesome and they might give me a name and that's super helpful. But then I have to follow up and send an email or cold call them or stalk them.
Right. Inefficiency. What are some of the other titles? Because purchasing manager sounds very corporate-y.
Actually, if you just say, who does your purchasing, who's your buyer, they tend to get it. They understand that there's somebody in there, whether it be the owner or a manager, that does all the buying. And that person is the person that we want to get in front of and get them registered and logged in.
What is the biggest barrier you encounter when you're beating the streets?
Well, it's a matter of preparation, timing, and luck, really, when it comes to cold calling. And also just being really persistent and really believing in what it is that you have to offer. Because like you had just described earlier, with sales reps coming in and knocking on their doors and saying, we have the best concentrate, or we have the best shatter or wax, or, we've got this amazing this and this edible. And, they're just overwhelmed. They're like, right. Oh my gosh, great. Okay, well, send me a sample for like 5 bud tenders and we'll taste it and then we'll let you know. And then you're kind of waiting, and it's the anticipation and it's stressful. So for me, it's really being persistent. In fact, SilverStem is a great example of a dispensary that has multiple locations. I live in Boulder, so when I drive down the 36 corridor, and the only outdoor advertising a dispensary or anyone in the cannabis industry can do are those adopt a highway signs. So they're all over the city. So I'm driving home every day into Denver, and I'm seeing a Joya and Terrapin, and we have all of these dispensaries, but SilverStem was my ghost cat. So I went up to Netherland. I went to the Colfax location. I went to another Denver location, and then someone gave me a name of one of the owners, and I emailed him. We corresponded for a few months, and then he sort of disappeared. And then I went into a Colfax location again, and they said, oh yeah, that gentleman's no longer with the company. And I was like, oh no. And so I said, who's handling the purchasing now? And they said, oh, this guy. And I said, great, can I get his information? And they said, he's actually here right now. So I was so excited that he was there. And my excitement ruined me because when he was so nice, he came up and he was like, hey, how's it going? And there's people in the shop, and I just sort of word vomited on him. I'm like, oh my God, hi, I'm with LeafLink, and I'm super excited to meet you. I've been trying to get in front of you guys. And he was like, oh, okay, great, thanks. And anyway, it took a couple weeks, but I ended up partnering with my client success team and managing all of his locations. We ended up getting them set up properly so that he can see all of the store's order history, but each location can order on their own as well. So we have the functionality to do that. But yeah, it's just
like a detective.
Yes, it's
tracking
true.
them down. Your
like
skip tracer.
Yeah, I'll Google their name. I'll check out if they're on Facebook, or I'll ask a colleague of mine in the industry, if they know somebody that they can introduce me to via email or anything like that. It's really just having a goal and setting out and tackling it. So, and it doesn't stop. It's just if anyone's thinking about getting into sales, you really think about it, because it's not easy. You got to like people. You got to love people. You got to love what you're selling and know that it's helping people and it's going to enhance their day and make it easier. And that's why I do it.
If there were on the other side from the them perspective, what do you think the barrier is that's preventing industry, dispensaries, or similar businesses from being able to properly engage with salespeople? Because that's what makes business happen, is interacting with other businesses, finding better products. But yet there's so much resistance to it. So if we were to be on the other side, what would make just this whole process better? Would it be dedicating a specific person who, when those 30 salespeople, their flyers come through the door, they get all directed to one person? Is there an online process? How would this make it better? Because we need growth in the industry, and it's only going to come by that interaction of companies going out to other companies in the industry, presenting them with products, making growth, making better efficiencies. But there's so much friction there. What can we do to help both sides understand how to make it better?
In my experience, I think of two things that help on both sides, and that's being nice, being kind, and being honest. And that's really the best you can hope for. I've gone into shops before where they say every inquiry like this goes directly to info@blank or corporate@blank. And they say that's just our protocol. That's just how we process
But
everything.
Is it a blow off where you go to the website and it's really nothing, or do they actually respond? Do they actually engage in the process?
You kind of have a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Because I can think of one dispensary in particular who has multiple locations that they're very just difficult to track down. They've got a corporate phone number. They've got corporate email addresses. I've sent the most amazingly written, compelling emails that I can't think or imagine why somebody wouldn't respond, but it's, you just have to keep at it. And then sometimes it takes third-party validation. So, for example, we've gotten new retailers sign up with LeafLink all the time, even though I've talked to them 6 months ago and had good rapport with them and showed them, how to sign up, and they just weren't ready at the time. They were adverse to it. They were just reluctant. They didn't really get it. But because their vendors are now saying, we really want you to place your orders through LeafLink, it makes our process so much easier. A referral,
yes.
Which we have this amazing referral program. So we put our marketing dollars back into the community. We've partnered with sales teams all over Colorado to work with us. So maybe there's a dispensary in Gunnison that we don't have, but we've got a vendor that delivers in that area. If they go out and sign up that retailer and they get an account with us, then they get compensated for that, rather than us just like blasting digital display ads or, print ads all over the place. That's great, but that's just, dollars not the best well spent.
I've spent a little bit of time thinking about this over the last few years, just because I'm so curious about it and really want to see the industry grow in a positive way. And what I've been able to determine is this: there's one main type person out there selling a product of cannabis, and dispensaries kind of want to work with them. They interact with them, but it's a tangible product where when somebody shows up on your doorstep, you can do an immediate evaluation. You can see what you're getting. You can make a determination if the price, blah, 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 and you can make a purchase. When you're selling a service, you're essentially selling a promise, right? You're kind of saying, here's something in the future that I'm going to kind of do. And I think that's where this uneasiness comes from, where they need that validation from the third party, because they don't have, here's a pound of cannabis, evaluate it, get out your microscope, get your specs and run through your checklist. Yep, it matches. All right, this is a good purchase. You're kind of saying, let's invest in the future together in a semi-intangible product and get in a relationship. And I can see how that makes people nervous.
The difference between a tangible product and an intangible product. So insurance would be considered an intangible product. That's investing in your future. Absolutely. A tangible product like weed, smell it, look at it, feel it. It looks good, smells good. You want to ingest it, then you're good to go. It's
right.
It's pretty
Very
basic.
Straightforward, black and white.
Yeah. With software, it's kind of in between, because I am saying it does all these things, but what I really want is 5 minutes of their time to show them. And I can show them a demo and walk them through it. So that illuminates, and it just get the visual and think, oh, I totally get this now. And some people are really quick and they get it through the pitch and just the conversation. And they say, oh my gosh, sign me up. This is amazing. I totally get it. And then other people are like, I'm not really quite sure. I don't know how this is going to affect our internal process. We've got a couple of people that do the purchasing. And then I explain to them that obviously you can have multiple users and different permissions can be set. So certain people can place orders and other people can just view menus. So there's a lot of workarounds, but yeah, walking in some place saying, hey, I've got this really cool thing. Here's a picture of it on a piece of paper. That's really what we've been working with.
I have an internal system I use when I'm approached by salespeople. When they're showing me something, I'll share it with you.
Okay.
And if you like it, you can use it too. I count adjectives and superlatives in their conversation. The more adjectives and superlatives, the less likely I am to buy. In the sense of saying, I have the best cannabis, it's the most dankest, that's when my buying enthusiasm starts dropping.
Absolutely.
And that's usually what I see in people being turned off to conversation in that sales pitch is the superlatives and adjectives get out of control, and it becomes literally you're the 10th person today who's had the best, dankest, greenest, stinkiest. It's like after a while, you're just repeating the last person who came through the door with the best.
Yeah, we all become a little cynical, I think. That actually inspires me to remember a story that I've been in marketing for a long time. And so somebody comes in and they're super passionate and they're using adjectives and superlatives like that. There's a story behind that. There's more to it than it's the best. It's like, well, why is it the best? How do you harvest your plants? What do you use? Is it all organic? Is it an indoor grow? Is it a vertical grow? What makes it the best? And good salesperson or somebody that's representing their brand will know the science behind it, because you need to know your audience. And most people in this industry, you've totally captured it, don't want to hear that it's the best or that I'm the best grower, because I know about 300 of the best growers in Colorado, and they're all probably the best. But at the end of the day, it is subjective. And that's where building a relationship with somebody and having the truth and honesty and saying, I actually met with a client who said, you know what? Okay, we have the best BHO extractor and we have these amazing concentrates, but we just had this batch that came through and it really isn't our favorite. We're not really standing behind it as our best, but we would like to showcase it on LeafLink at a lower cost, because regardless of it not being, quote, the best, there's still an audience out there, a market and a consumer that's going to want to pay a little bit less just to get it. it's okay that, it may not be their best batch.
Right.
I think people being sold to really respects that and appreciates that. So I've seen it happen many times when I go into dispensaries and I'll say, oh, we have this brand on LeafLink, and they say, oh, I don't buy from them anymore. That the sales guy that was here that represented them was a total flake, and they had a bad experience with this brand, this whole company, because of one experience with a sales rep.
What's so ironic about that is most sales reps are hired minimum wage off the street and immediately pushed out onto the street. What else are you going to get from somebody that you immediately bring in the door and then push them out the door to go start selling, and you say, hey, here's no money to go do it, and here's our, lack of infrastructure to help your sales process. That's, in my experience, how most companies go about sales is they find the cheapest, flakiest person who's willing to do it for next to free, and they use that person as the face and voice of their company and say, great, now go out there and make some sales for us. And it's like, well, maybe we should do it backwards. Maybe the salesperson should be the person who's been at the company the longest, but only after going through like customer service training and after going through a few other departments, so they've had time to season themselves in the company, right?
Yeah, and we've got a couple of clients on the platform, and I can't speak for all of them, but a few that come to mind. They have continuing education on all their products. And I've gone out with some of these sales reps, and they are so educated, and they're talking science and detail about their drinks or their chocolates. And I'm just sitting back going, wow, this is way too much information for me. I just want to know if it tastes good.
Right. Well, there is a balance there. What you're pointing out is that balance of information versus storytelling, right? You can't just be a storyteller, just weave a great story and that's what sells. You got to have some information there, but you can't just have information and be a scientist and, expect to just nail somebody over the head with a bunch of facts and
so
figures.
It's definitely the hybrid. You want somebody that's passionate about your brand, that cares about the product, that cares about the industry and the people that are in it, and that actually does what they say they're going to do. And that's, if I'm going to show up and do an in-store day or train your bud tenders or bring you some swag or, get you a sample or deliver, then I'm going to follow through on that. Now, if and when, most likely, something goes wrong in the delivery process, because oftentimes fulfillment, something can go wrong and, the product isn't ready, it's really up to the sales rep to maintain that relationship and put out that fire and hope for the best. Hopefully dispensaries can be a little forgiving at times, because stuff does happen. At the end of the day, we're all kind of in it together. Yeah. We really are.
Let me ask you a gender-based question on humanity.
Awesome.
Obviously, you only have your experience, but you also have colleagues and associates that you've worked with. Do you find that being a woman does any advantage, disadvantage, or is just a wash as far as that human interaction?
At this point in my life, I'm 43 years old, and the gender thing, luckily, has faded out for me quite a lot. When I was younger, I definitely felt that I was at a disadvantage. I think now in 2016,
2017.
Sorry. I had a blonde moment.
Does that mean you're actually 45?
No. Damn it. 2017, yeah. I used to think that it did. And being in any industry, they're mostly male dominated. I mean, let's be honest, unless, you're in nursing or teaching, there's those stereotypes. But when it comes down to it, I think that people want to work with people they like. And if you're a cool person and you're genuine and honest and sincere and you are able to talk to people, I don't think it really matters, because I've worked alongside both men and women in the industry, our sales channel partners, and I can see the reception that some people get simply based on their ability to engage with another human being rather than it being a gender thing. And then I've seen people who I go, oh my God, I can't believe they're in sales. They're so uncomfortable and awkward right now. This person's looking at them with this blank stare going, when are you going to finish your spiel? Because I want to die now. I'm just kidding. But then it's just a numbers game for those people, because they're just going to continue pounding the pavement. But I think women in general are painted with a perception that we're trustworthy and trusting and nurturing, and we're more caregivers. We're probably more responsible in a lot of ways. When we tell somebody we're going to do something, we really want to follow through on getting it done. But then I know women that are flakes.
I think flakiness is just a human quality.
I think flakiness is
it's a gender
not
thing, but
gender specific. Yeah.
personally, I have to admit, if I had a business and in walked through my door a woman versus a man, I don't know how to get around it, but I think I would be more inclined to just listen to the woman, give her pitch, and be more cordial and just more open.
Oh, okay.
And I know that, but I don't know if that's a bias or even if it's something I should be too concerned about, but it's just a natural thing.
No, be nice to women all the time. That's great.
I guess that's essentially,
Well,
I don't know if it's that.
I think it's probably easier for a man to dismiss another man or blow him off or just sort of be like, oh, here comes another dude selling his weed. But when a woman walks in, it's probably a little refreshing. Yeah. Like, oh, let's see what she has to say. And she's probably better to look at, too.
Well, I would like to do an experiment where we test that.
Okay.
And then I want to flip it around and send male salespeople into women managers and see what the result is and see if there's actually anything going on there.
Yeah, I just don't think it. See, I just don't see myself in the way that I should have seen myself in my 20s, where I actually had probably some advantage for being a young, hot chick. And now that I'm, middle aged and just sort of
let's not be self-degrading.
Average.
First of all, I'm not that many years off from middle age myself.
Oh, you're
and
not?
I still
Okay.
think I'm a young, nice, hip, as you called. Well, you didn't call me, but as you referenced to earlier, right?
Yeah. I just think that you just need to be yourself. I know that's such a cliche and it's so annoying because a lot of people are lost and they don't really know who they are.
Yeah.
But walking into somebody's establishment and interrupting their day and trying to create a friendship or some sort of respect and trust out of thin air is not easy. Yeah. So I always just encourage people to say, if they know when somebody's coming in like a new vendor and they want to give a sample and the bed tender or the manager just knows, like they know that they're never going to buy from this person, not because it's the person, just because it's the product or they've committed to 20 vendors that year and that's what they're going with, whatever the situation is. I always think it's best to just not lead anybody on because business is like dating. You really want to have some interest from somebody, but you don't want that salesperson to be too eager and desperate because that's a turnoff. But you also want there to be that mutual respect so the dispensary person can say, you know what, I really appreciate you bringing this by. It looks beautiful, but right now our owners are totally committed to these other brands. And the salesperson might say, okay, I understand that. And they'll have a rebuttal because we're trained to rebut everything that's ever said out of anyone's mouth.
I just asked if you wanted water. Why are you arguing with me?
And just say, follow up in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I could give to somebody. If you give a salesperson a date to follow up, they'll put it in their calendar and they'll follow up.
A relationship type date, right? If you had a woman or man that you were courting yourself after and they said, contact me at Friday the 13th or whatever, you'd put that in your calendar because like a date, there's that thought of, something might happen there. I might get the sale. And
exactly.
that's essentially what you're doing is you are forging that relationship that could turn into a serious thing that could lead into a long thing.
I was also on a date a few years ago with somebody that I met online and he was really nice. I became his therapist over happy hour. He shared all kinds of just...
But it started as a date and turned into therapy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was like, well, what are you going to do about the relationship you have with your mother now? It was, I was like, why is this happening? And he thought that we had a romantic connection. And
talking about his mother.
There wasn't, if there's a romantic connection the moment you meet somebody.
Well, they say women know. I'm not too sure if men know. I think men might be a little more thick-headed in that
well,
sense.
they probably look at women and go, yeah, I'd probably sleep with her, but,
They say women know within the first few minutes, but women also control the situation, so it's irrelevant for a man to really know or not know because he's not in control anyways. So from a male perspective, you might as well just keep moving forward because there's no other alternative.
Exactly.
You're not in control.
And in that case, when we left the restaurant, he was like, okay, so do you want to go grab a drink after this? And I said, oh, no, absolutely not. I had a great time with you, but I really didn't feel any romantic connection with you whatsoever. And I literally just said it like that in just this kind of nice and direct way. And he looked at me like, really? He goes, really? I said, yeah. And he's like, thank you so much for just telling me that. that? I said, you're welcome. I'm like, take care of yourself, have a great life.
Now I need a drink.
Moving on. But that's kind of how it is in sales.
Yeah.
I'd rather somebody tell me the truth than string me along.
So tell me how you got married to this company. Are you a founder? Were you hired on? Did you accidentally stumble across it at a career fair? Where did your connection come from?
I had been laid off. I was in between things, and I had some industry experience back in 2014. I was hired as a contractor to come into a MIP and help them with their infrastructure and help manage the construction of the grow.
In Colorado.
In Colorado. I was sort of the jack of all trades, and I did sales and I did HR and I did accounting and just did too many things. So I was there for about 6 months for a contract, and then I was kind of looking for the next thing, and I found a great company to work for, and then they laid me off, which I was very disappointed when that happened. But, everything happens for a good reason. And I decided to put that experience on my resume.
That you had gotten laid off?
No, that I had cannabis industry experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I told them that in the
there's
interview.
a new technique. Here's why I got
Loser.
fired.
Got laid off. Just kidding. No, so I added it to my resume, and I sent it out to Vankst, actually. Graduano was the company at the time. They changed their name. And they called me and said that they actually had a position with a software company in the cannabis industry. And I thought, wow, this is kismet, because I have software experience and cannabis industry experience. So the rest is history. I've been with them for almost a year.
Almost a year. And are you in the expansion that you're going to move up and become like a regional director and then maybe a national something? What's your trajectory on this?
It is very well known by the founders that I'm interested in growing within the company. I would
send a few letters and emails and
face-to-face
confrontations,
gift baskets, Amazon gift cards. No, I mean, we're a tight, small group right now, and we all want to grow within the company. And we're all doing more than we did just yesterday. So we're all building such a knowledge base within the industry and with the company that it's just going to be a natural progression that the first hires within the company are going to grow.
500 dispensaries, is that what you said?
In Colorado, yeah.
Oh, just in Colorado.
Yeah, we've got over 200 in Washington right now.
So just these two states so far, so 700. That's a pretty good number.
650, 700, yeah.
Okay. And is this the type of business, I mean, did you hear what just happened to MJ Freeway?
I did.
So is this the type of business where because of events like that, there's going to be repercussions to other software type businesses?
Not at all.
No. Okay.
Not at all. It's like saying something happened to Instagram. Is that going to hurt Facebook? It's totally different.
Yeah.
People will probably bail on Instagram for a while and go to Facebook, but...
Other than Facebook owns Instagram. I mean, it's...
Oh, do they?
Yeah. I mean, other than that connection, no. I see.
I missed that.
I see your point, though.
I missed that article in Fast Company. Sorry.
I get the point. There, you're right.
I don't even know how to use Instagram. I have an account. It's
pictures, right?
This is the middle-aged Gen X thing coming in. Us Gen Xers out there, it's like I'm straddling, the baby boomer, Gen X, millennial. I have a millennial. She's 23.
Oh, wow.
And she teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I was going to say, I'm from the social media age where we just wrote one-liners and confusing statements that you had to interpret. Now people are like into whole photograph videos and fully elaborate media productions.
Just voyeuristic almost.
Right. And that's all I do. I don't post anymore now. I just scroll and view.
Yeah, I've been quiet for a while on social media. I sort of read and I go, oh, that's so sad. They're so upset. Or, oh, they're happy and that's great. And I just move on.
Here's the product I want somebody to come out with, and maybe Facebook can do it, is because I'm just a reader, I just scroll. I don't do a lot of interacting. I want there to be a button that just does like a 1/4 mile an hour progressive slow. So I don't have to have my hand on the mouse, so I can be doing other activities while that's just slowly scrolling, and I can just read the news articles as they go by as I'm, multitasking.
Interesting.
And I don't know why there's something not already like that, because I'm sure I'm not the only person who just scrolls for endless.
So like an automatic scroll on your screen.
Like a ticker
at
that
any
just
pace.
Yeah, where you can change the pace, because if you're like me, where you're not really interacting with every art, I'm just looking at the titles and moving on.
Clever.
But I don't want to have my hand on the mouse just constantly scrolling down.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
And it takes away from my multitasking of nothing that I'm doing.
Right, kind of like when you're watching the news, there's a little
right, a little ticker, a little scroll, a little thing going on. So why not have Facebook or any type of news feed that's a scroll type news feed, just where you can do an automatic half mile, quarter mile, just do a very slow pace so it just keeps moving.
You got your $1 billion idea right there.
I know. I can't figure out how to run a computer too well.
Call an engineer. They'll figure it out.
See, here's my problem, and the more you get to know me, you'll see this, is I have a billion ideas, and they're all potentially good. I have more ideas than the possibilities of pursuing ideas, so I have to pick ideas and stick with them, and the other ones are throwaways, where I have just throw them out there to the world, and if somebody wants to run with it. But if I tried to run with every great idea I had, I would do nothing but just be constantly starting businesses all day long. And I have a lot of great ideas, but
it only takes one.
That's why I figure a podcast is a good way to get them out to the world, let somebody else go, that is a good idea, and then go invent it, make $1 billion, and then they can come back and advertise on my show as a like a thank you. They can be like, remember that idea you talked about?
Or you could just email Mark Zuckerberg directly and tell him your idea.
I've Facebooked him, and I messaged him. I said, do you really interact with people on Facebook? To this day, he's never responded. So
that would be a no.
I guess his 85 million followers is burdensome.
Yeah.
The future. We're a year in.
Yes.
Which is exciting, but also a little scary.
It is. Honestly, I thought, wow, okay, we've dominated Colorado. It's great. We've got this huge footprint here. I would just want to take a breath and take a beat and take a minute. And it was like the new year came and on to the next state. And it just hasn't stopped.
I look at it as scary because if you just hear like statistics, right? Just make up a number and you'll probably be right. What percentage of businesses fail in the first 3 years? Any number you make up will probably be right because it's just high and that's a lot, and it doesn't matter
probably about half.
It doesn't matter what exactly it is. The fact is it's more than enough that you're more likely to fail than not in a certain sense. So that's why it's kind of scary, because you're still in such an infancy that who knows? Right?
Who knows?
And I say that with the fact that as I scroll through the last 3 years of interviewing people, I literally check off no longer in business, no longer in business, no longer in business. Oh, great.
So did you just jinx me right now?
No, what I'm doing is I'm going to give you the Cannabis Community Project bump, right?
Well, I think fear drives us.
Right.
There have been other companies in the marketplace that we've been compared to that I can understand that we get compared to, but in actuality, we're very different. Mm-hmm. So it's just nice to have any name recognition or brand recognition, and that's been organic and it's been amazing. But the competitors out there that are maybe wanting to replicate our model, that's perfectly fine. That's what makes America great. But at the end of the day, people if they're given a choice, they're going to want to go with a company that they know, that they respect, that they trust, that has provided great support, that has supported them in growing their business and has great response time and awesome uptime on the software, of course. So we kind of put our blinders on a little bit when it comes to the competition. But with that being said, we're also as knowledgeable about our competition as we can possibly be.
Mm-hmm. And I make these comments with a little intention to kind of put you on defense, because I like to challenge people, and I like to challenge them in a way that simply says, here's something to think about, and it's a question that should be brought up. But I don't want people to think I'm just letting you promote yourself. I want to challenge you.
Please
so I want to challenge
me, yes.
you, since you're only a year in, to come back in 6 months and then come back in a year. And I want to challenge you because that means you would have to still be in business to come back in a year. If you're not, you can more than, please come on. We can have a personal conversation about, what happened. But come back on as in the sense that you're still in business, because I want you to keep me afloat to how does a business a year in grow and continue to grow and get through these barriers, because there will be barriers. There are barriers, but they're barriers that we all need to get over because we all have the same barriers. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter whether it's software or media or weed or vaporizers or whatever. They're all similar barriers. So I don't say let's check back to see if I check you off the list.
No.
Let's check back so you can tell us how you're overcoming these challenging comments that I'm throwing at you.
How about I one-up you and tell you that in 6 months we will obviously already be in Colorado. We'll have dominated Washington. We'll have a successful footprint in Oregon and Nevada.
There you go. That's why.
And we'll be in California.
Ooh.
To what extent in 6 months, I do not know, but I can tell you we will be there.
Excellent.
Okay.
It's recorded, but I won't write it on the calendar.
And I'll have a new title.
Oh.
And I hope my founders are listening. I'll have a new title. I'll be the director of something. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah.
Of something.
Director of business development.
No, I just like of something. Director of something.
Okay, great. That'll be my title.
I just like that because, it's very ambiguous. Depends on what kind of meeting you're in. You can just be like, I'm the director.
Yeah, of what? You name it.
What should we end on that we either didn't talk about or that is such a core issue that you wanted to talk about that we should make sure to get it out there? Did we skip anything? Did we forget to talk about the most important thing of the company or something? Did we forget the launch is actually tomorrow? Or
I don't think we covered a lot. We covered the history of the company, and we covered gender. We covered how to sell, how to be a nice person. Covered quite a lot, actually. I think it's just the takeaway is we're not going anywhere. We really aren't. The plan is to take over North America, really, like a virus.
Yes. Right.
No, I shouldn't say that in the software business.
Style.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess if we've covered everything, let's make sure to get your complete contact information out there. So individuals that maybe want to dip their toes in sales and have you mentor them along, or maybe individuals that want to get involved from a networking standpoint or cross-marketing, or maybe just be friends with you, or maybe take you on a date if you're not taken
No, I'm
yet.
married.
Oh, you're married now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, 3 years. That was a fast progression from throw the guy out and then you turn around
Well, yeah,
and you
it's just like sales. It's a numbers game. Like, this is not a good fit. Next. Okay, you're the one.
That's the
All
speed
right.
dating, right?
That's it, yeah.
You click through them and then find your match. Well, congratulations then on your transition from dating to marriage in the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So maybe they can just contact you for business reasons. Let's give that information out.
Yes, robyn.neven@leaflink.com. So robyn.neven at leaflink.com. That's my email address. And if any dispensaries or vendors want to give me a call and talk about getting onto LeafLink, I'd be more than happy to show you a demo, take you to coffee. We can chat. Send an email to sales@leaflink.com.
Excellent.
Whichever.
Well, thank you for coming down on this semi-cold afternoon, all the way from Boulder. 6 months, so June-ish?
June-ish. It'll be warmer.
Okay.
Hopefully. It's chilly in here.
So June-ish, yes it is, and it never did heat up, so I apologize about that. But June-ish then, we'll expect to have you back in studio.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Be happy to. Thank you.
Have a good week.
You too.
There you go, Cannapreneurs, on our way out 2017. Thank you for joining us for another show. We'll be back next week talking to more Cannapreneurs, bringing their stories to you. Follow us after the shows on all the social media, Facebook, YouTube, Massroots, even Twitter, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week.